Hi, I'm Donna Miller. I'm going to show you how to create a background to make thank you cards for all the Christmas presents that we got. If this is your first time to the channel and you enjoy this video, please click and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss out on anything. So let's get started. I'm using a flat square brush and I'm just using 3 different shades of red, a gold color, and 2 different shades of green. And I'm just starting with the first brush. I'm not using any water and I'm just creating a stripe going straight across. Then I'm going to go to the next shade of red and just blend in between, and as you're blending you do want to overlap a little bit. And then we'll do the same thing with the other shade of red. Now as you need to switch to your gold, I'm using a different brush because the gold and the red will not blend that well together since the colors are so drastic. But I do went ahead and blended a little bit over top of the red with the gold. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to the green color, and I'm using a new brush with that because again I don't think the gold and the green would blend all that well. But even with that, I went ahead and colored over top of the gold just a little bit. And then as I go on with the darkest shade of green, I am going to overlap that on top of the other green too. Our sentiment is coming from this Letter It stamp set. This is made by Ranger, and this one has a lot of great thank you sentiments, and I love the huge size on them and the print that comes with them. So if you need a thank you set, I really love this one. It's one of my favorites. I couldn't recommend it more. For this project, I'm using the Tim Holtz stamping platform, and I highly recommend that you do use a stamping platform because I'm going to heat emboss and you're going to need to stamp this multiple times in the exact same spot, so you will not get the same results with an acrylic block as you will get with a stamping platform. I'm using this plastic grid that I had created myself, and if you are interested in this, I have a video and a tutorial on how to create this grid yourself, and it just really helps you on aligning up your stamps. So be sure to check the description below if you are interested in watching that tutorial. So to line this up the best, I'm going to have a white mat going behind that, and I kind of just put it on the rainbow colors that I thought I would like it on the best. I'm going to heat emboss this, so I'm going to prep the background using a powder tool that you can get at any of the craft stores. So I'm using Versamark ink for embossing. This is a clear sticky ink that will make the embossing powder stick to it. So I'm just pressing down on there to ink up my stamp. So as you stamp on this, you do want to make sure you take your time and just press on each of the individual spots so that you can get the best impression possible. So for the heat embossing part, I'm just taking an old piece of notebook paper and folding it in half. And I'm using Recollections embossing powder. This is from Michaels, and I'm just going to dump a whole bunch of it over top of my image. Now be sure that you save all of your embossing powder and pour it back into your container because you can reuse that embossing powder again for future projects. So when you go to heat emboss, you want to actually let your heat emboss machine run for about a minute or two to heat up when it's just in the air and it's not aimed at anything. And then you want to go to your paper. If you heat it up immediately on your paper, it won't be hot enough, and then it might warp your paper or it could burn it. So you can see right here that I actually have some holes in it and it doesn't look all that great right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to double heat emboss this, which is something that you can do to get better results. So to double heat emboss this, the steps are pretty much the same thing that we did before. Make sure that you use your powder tool over top of that, and don't worry if the colors look faded when you use your powder tool. I always just rub it on my jeans when I'm completely done with my project, and that gets all of the powder off. So I'm going back to my Versamark and I'm going to re-ink this, and I did notice that the Q on the H is not inked very well, so I'm definitely going to make sure on this one that I really aim for that top part, and I'm going to put a lot of weight on the curl of that H. So we're going to go back with our embossing powder now, and you want to dump that over top of your image. Again, make sure that you have your notebook paper ready and behind your image so that you can save all of that powder and dump it back into your container again. So you can see that I actually have the Q now on my H. So this is going to look a whole lot better going a second embossing than it would the first embossing. And that's the beauty of using a stamping platform, is that you can heat emboss in the same spot 2, 3, 4 times if you really even wanted to. So I do highly recommend that you buy some kind of stamping platform because you will have a much better time and really enjoy your stamping so much better. So my secret weapon for embossing is using this Emboss It pin from Ranger. And for whatever reason mine says black, but this is definitely the clear color. And I'm just going to color over top of all of the holes that I still saw even after heat embossing this 3 times. And as I go through with the embossing powder the last time, it filled in all of the gaps and it just looks gorgeous now that it is completely finished. And you can tell that there is no more holes, no more gaps, and this is raised, and it really gives it a nice feeling and a shine to it. So I didn't like all of those white specks that I saw in the background. That was just heat embossing powder that got in the wrong spot. So I'm using this Mono Tombow eraser and I'm just gently brushing across the paint where I had painted, and it gets rid of the white and it didn't really mess up the background all that well. This is a new product that I have found recently and I just love it for getting rid of mistakes. So it has really saved me out with a lot of projects. And I have a video on this. If you would like to watch that, I will put that in the description below also. So I have this white rectangle that I cut out, and then I just cut out another rectangle on there, and I just used the simple shapes with my Cricut. And I will have the dimensions of this on my blog, so if you want to figure out what the dimensions are, just check out my blog. It's millercrafts.blogspot.com. I'm going to use that grid that I had created, and I'm just lining up my sentiment on here. This project is really great for if you want to do multiples. You just line it up on your stamping platform, you stamp and do one, and then you go through the process with the second one, and it makes it go really quick that you can make a lot of cards at one time. So I'm using Distress Oxide ink here because I really like this red color, and I like to heat emboss with Distress Oxide inks. And I know they don't stamp the best sometimes, but if you have a stamping platform, you can stamp multiple times. And I could tell that this had a lot of white specks in it, which is why I'm going to stamp twice on this. I think the white specks probably came from the powder tool that I had used. And this time I'm going to use clear embossing powder that is from Recollections. So you may not have noticed, but the cap on here is a clear cap, whereas on the white embossing powder from Recollections they put a white solid cap. So that kind of helps me out so I don't have to read the container every single time that I heat emboss. Now it is really important when you're heat embossing that you use tweezers on this because the paper gets so hot and it's very easy to burn your fingers. But I just love using heat embossing and I just love the shine that it gives to your project. And you can see how shiny that looks. Oh, just look at the shine. I just love it. So it really makes it stick out and you can put your finger across it and it has those ridges. I just love it. So now we're going to put our frame on the background and just kind of line up exactly what colors you want to show through on the window, and you want to just mark that on the corners of your card. So we're going to use our paper trimmer and just line it up where you put your pencil marks and just cut off the excess parts that you do not need. I'm using the paper trimmer from Cricut and I absolutely love this trimmer. I did have a Friskers trimmer, but after I bought the Cricut one, which I got in one of the mystery boxes that Cricut has, I've never gone back to my Friskers. The blade on this thing is amazing and it lasts a very long time. So I just put some art glitter glue on the background and I'm just going to line this up. And I love my art glitter glue, so if you need a glue, art glitter glue is the way to go. They don't ship in the winter time, but I definitely would recommend that. I bought mine from maymaymakesit.com and they have super fast shipping. I'm going to glue this onto a green mat. I almost mat all of my cards. I really feel like it centers the cards and gives it a more finished look. So that's something that I really like doing. Now the card base that I'm using is the 110-pound cardstock from Recollections, and I find that I really like that and I don't need to buy anything more expensive than that. So for the snowflakes on the background of my card, I found some confetti from the Hobby Lobby and they came as little white pre-cut plastic snowflakes that you would normally just put on a table. And I decided that I would just use the exact same color paint that I used on the background, and it took about 2 coats of paint. And I just painted over top of the snowflakes, and I just really like this hack. It saved me from having to cut them out, which sometimes cutting them out on the Cricut can be difficult because they are so small that the paper tends to tear easily. So when I found this hack, I just had to share it. It's something that I like, and I hope that you would enjoy that too. So I hope that you're busy working on your thank you cards also for the people that you love in your family that you got to share your Christmas with. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please click and subscribe if you're not already, and don't forget to hit that bell so you don't miss out on anything. Thanks for watching.